So, if you've been following my channel for any length of time now, you know full well we very, very often talk about transport and transport infrastructure because it is so important. I've said before, South Yorkshire, I don't know about the rest of the regions, but I wouldn't be surprised if this information is out somewhere. But you've got a very damning piece of information that 1 in 5 people in South Yorkshire turn down a job because they can't get there. That is how bad the transport system is. That is not good for the economy. And that's why I agree with this piece. This would be such an easy win, not only for Keir Starmer, but it would also be a massive win for Labour, because there are a ton of people who believed, certainly did really believe in Boris Johnson's promise that he was going to level up the North and bring these towns back to their prosperous glory that they once were. And as I've said, that promise has failed. People in the North can very, very clearly see that promise has not been fulfilled. So what Starmer needs to do is a couple of things he really needs to do, but we'll get into that in a moment. But there's a couple of big things he really needs to do and really get into. But before we start really talking about that, or what Starmer needs to commit to, like I say, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, guys, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. And of course, down below, there is the link to the YouTube thank you button and, of course, the Pony Club as well. And remember, if you are supporting me on the Patreon page or the Pony Club, you do get access to the weekly video that I make just for you guys. So remember that. And also remember to ring the bell as well, because I keep on getting told that I forget to remind people about that. If you do hit that little bell, you'll get a reminder notification of when we drop a new video or when we go live as well. So, as always, guys, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. Even if you do just click the like and share button, it is very, very much appreciated. So, what could Keir Starmer do for this easy win? And it is an easy win. It's a massive easy win. The first thing he has to do is this. He has to fully commit that his government will go full in for the HS2. So that means HS2 and also its northern leg. So that split can go off, up, and into Sheffield. That is what we need desperately. That will be a massive, massive transport boost, because you may remember when we talked with Gareth Dennis. If you haven't seen that interview, go give it a watch. I always mention it when we talk about HS2 or trains in general, because people misunderstand HS2. It's not about speed, it's about capacity. You free up those high-speed trains so they get their own track, so they can go do their, their high-speed thing. But in the meanwhile, that frees up all those local tracks so we can have more trains on it. Because if you've got a fast train and a slow train, then the slow trains at some point will either have to sort of slow down, stop, or pull themselves off the line. It frees up capacity. So that is massively important. The next big thing that we should do is Starmer should also commit fully to the Northern Powerhouse Rail. This would go from Liverpool to Birmingham all the way on to Hull. That would be the first, I think, east-west, west-east line, depending on which way you're going, of course, there's been built in this country since, well, Queen Victoria, I think. And that would be, again, a massive improvement to the infrastructure here. Unbelievably so. So just those two things alone, if Starmer can commit to that, That will really show what leveling up means. The other thing Starmer needs to do is he really needs to get behind his metro mayors and start supporting them, because we've seen in Manchester, Andy Burnham is now helping to keep public transport costs, especially on buses, because this is what we people forget. When you're looking at transport, you've got to think of the big picture. If you want to get somewhere, you might go to like a city, via the train, and then you might get a bus to go on to where you need to go. So keeping bus fare lows is, again, a massive public good to a local area. So what Andy Burnham is doing is bringing those bus companies back into sort of his sort of local control, having greater control of what they're doing. So he's lowering the bus fares, he's keeping them at a £2 minimum. That will be fantastic. And Starmer really, really needs to utilize those Labour metro mayors he has. I think it's a massive resource he generally has that he just does not seem to be using at the moment. And I think going forward, that could be a really big movement. So if he can give more powers to these metro mayor guys and give them more abilities to go forward with like public transport and sort of use their own sort of budgets they've got for that, local transport in those areas will improve massively, massively. And then one final thing I think he should do, and I think this would be a massive craw, certainly odds to Peel Group, but also to the Conservatives, is he needs to get involved to save DSA. That's Doncaster City Airport, or Doncaster South Yorkshire Airport. I can't remember the full name, but yeah, DSA. But we need to save that. That DSA is a massive, massive piece of infrastructure here in South Yorkshire. And not only just for Yorkshire, but South Yorkshire, but the whole Yorkshire region. That runway is big enough to get the biggest cargo planes you can. So it's a massive infrastructure boost for the fact that you can have cargo coming in, going off that port. That's why they were talking about having a railway link to it. There was stuff about maybe HS2 could be linked up to it in some way. Again, he needs to get out there and he needs to make sure he gets involved in Doncaster Airport. Because I'll tell you what, if I was Keir Starmer, I would hang this around the Conservatives' neck. This is because it would be a massive win. Again, easy win. You go over to Doncaster, you have a press conference outside, and you just completely admonish Peel Group, you admonish the Tories for not doing anything to save Doncaster Airport. Because that is in itself a massive piece of leveling up. What DSA was providing to the region in terms of sort of, jobs, just alone, what the jobs that it provided to the region, the whole infrastructure it provided for cargo transportation, for businesses, and all what Peel Group want to do is use the land to build houses. So he should be absolutely involved in getting involved on this. So Starmer really needs to get involved in on that. And I would hope that certainly people like Ed Miliband really, really go and start leaning on Starmer to get involved in this campaign. Because I'll tell you now, it would be a massive, easy win for Starmer to do that. Go over to Doncaster, hold a press conference outside, just completely admonish Peel Group and the Tories for not, Peel Group, first of all, for closing the airport where there was an absolute business case to keep it open. And then you go on against the Tories for, first of all, not stepping in to help save the airport, and then not doing anything to stop Peel Group from basically demolishing the airport and building houses on it, because that region and that area should be focused on the airport. That was always the plan. That was always the strategic plan in and around that area. And they need to really focus on that, because once you lose that airport, it ain't coming back. And that's the sad truth. And currently at the moment, it's still there. You know, all of it is still there. It could be reopened. But Peel Group's got no interest in reopening it, so that's a big problem. But it would be a massive, easy win for Starmer. In fact, a number of all those three things I mentioned, committing to HS2 and Northern Powerhouse Rail, committing to local transport needs and empowering his metro mayors to take more control over transport would be a massive, easy win. And then again, saving DSA, leveling up. What an easy win for Starmer. It would be an absolute easy win. And best of all, the Treasury always says, look, if you invest in transport or anything like that, it's their golden ticket, because when the government invests in transport, it always gets the return. And doing this would unleash massive economic activity up in the north. And Starmer needs to start talking about how, rather than this economic vision that sort of the Tories sell, that it's really sort of, the London, it has to be all in London. No, Starmer needs to really start talking about regional regrowth and redevelopment. Because if you can get onto that, that's an entirely different version that sort of Boris Johnson slightly tapped into during his campaign in 2019 and then failed to follow through on. That is what Starmer has to do, and then follow through on it. But because it's all transport related, the Treasury will back it. It will be a massive boost to investment. I can't express so many reasons why he should get behind this so much. So I really hope he does, and I hope, to be honest, this message does get through to him, that he has to sort of really back this, and that transport is such an easy win for Labour. And of course, that they can talk about it, but of course, once they get in, they've then got to deliver on it. And to be honest, they can deliver on it. They should be able to deliver on it very, very easy. So, as always, guys, like I said, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll see you all next time.